get started now. Freedom, 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 freedom. My freedom begins at Life Force Canada.
Welcome to Life Force Canada. I'm Karen Klassen. Thank you to all of you beautiful souls who join me here every Monday. Together we rise, my friends. We have a few updates to share, and then I'm going to introduce you to John Porter, who's founder and CEO of BarterPAY and Barterit. So he's going to be joining us at 7:30. So we've got some time before he's here. You've all heard the great news, I trust. Government of Canada announced that the beginning of October, right, October 1st, all COVID restrictions will be lifted. Yay, for traveling. This means that you don't have to wear a mask in the airports, no restrictions, throwing out the arrive can, no vaccine requirements. We, the people, are free to travel. So crazy I'm saying that. Yeah, so many of us, right, have been locked down for so long. So I think there's going to be a lot of people creating travel plans this fall. Very, very exciting. Now, I know it may feel like the world is going back to normal, and some are falling back to sleep. It's more important than ever to stay grounded in the reality, to stay grounded and continue to get organized, right? That's what we're doing here at Life Force Canada. Now, I was honored to present today at the World Health Council and share about Life Force Canada. I love it when you hear others from other countries, how the private membership association model is the only way to go as it removes us out of the public domain and into the private domain. So everyone was very excited about that. Okay. I do want to share with you to please be careful on the roads, everyone. I was driving to see my friend Doris, and I heard a crash. Well, first of all, an ambulance went by and going to the hospital. And I thought, I wonder how many of those I'm going to hear, the sirens I'm going to hear. As Doris and I, when we go for a walk, we hear so many sirens. However, I heard a crash and I'm looking around thinking, where did that come from? And I couldn't see anything around me. And I was driving up to a light and it turned red. So I stopped and there was probably about 7 cars ahead of me. And then the light turned green and we're all traveling through the intersection. And oh my, there was a van that went speeding through the intersection and went head on into a light standard. So they must have been going quite fast because there was a lot of damage to the front of the vehicle. So as I drove by, I could see the person just, I could see, I don't know if it was a man or a woman, I could see them just coming out, like out of they were crouched over the airbag. Yeah. So I was sharing this on the Freedom Rising call and they're calling them vaccidents. So apparently this is happening a lot. So please be careful when you're out driving. Yes, we are all defensive drivers. We're, very responsible drivers, and we're always looking out for others. However, a lot of people are just not even there in their vehicle right now. So be careful. Thank you, Claire and Carol. Appreciate you. I do believe you're right, Kendra. Yes, drive safely, LJ. Okay, so just breathe that in because, we're going to be seeing, I do believe, a lot more of that happening. Okay, so good news. I have a little video to share with you, and I know this is going to inspire all of you. There is an actual town in Mexico that's kicked out all the organized crime syndicates. They've kicked out the politicians, the corrupt police. They have no mayor. They have an assembly. They have assembly of 12. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? It's only about a 5-minute video, but I thought it was just perfect for all of us.
The liberation that happened here when the city of Tehran just threw out government, police, and organized crime from its entire city. And it's been an incredible experiment that we're here documenting. Here with Jeff Berwick, the dollar vigilante, who's a big proponent of anarchy. And right now we are in the utopia capital of anarchism, and that is Tehran, Mexico. Jeff, how are you feeling here?
I love it. As soon as we drove in, there's a security checkpoint, and they don't allow any politicians, anyone with any political party signs on their car. Police, they kicked them all out. They kicked the government out about 7 years ago. And as soon as we entered, it was like the nicest, it's almost like paradise, really. Like everyone, it's so nice, it's so relaxed, so tranquil. They've had no crime. There was a lot of crime here when there was government and police. A lot of extortions, a lot of kidnappings and murders. They've had nothing since then, and the people are so friendly. They offer us to come into their house and use their washroom. Everyone who drives by waves at us. Very relaxed, very cheap. We had about 20 amazing tacos called carnitas with about 3 Coca-Colas. The total bill was 200 pesos, $10. Everyone's so friendly. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, everyone's smiling here. And even though the US State Department advises American citizens to not go here no matter what, this is actually one of the safest places that you could be with no murders, no kidnappings in a number of years, primarily because this town kicked out all the police and the local government from even existing here. So right now I'm with Rodrigo, and the history here that Rodrigo that you've been telling me is extremely, extremely deep.
So the history over here in Michoacan, it's something that's not new, because the people from these lands have been well known for not letting themselves dominate by someone else. Right now, the situation it was with the cartels and the government. They were taking advantage of them in a horrible way, but it's not the first one. Like I told you, it used to be the Spanish people, then even before them, the Aztecs, and nobody has been able to submit them to their will.
So a long history of resistance, a long history of anarchy, and we're going to talk to a very interesting guy that you helped us set up.
We are about to meet one of the most respected elders here in town. His name is, well, he's known as Tata Meche. And this guy knows the history of the whole place. Not only the thing that has been taking place lately, also all of these uprisings that have happened throughout history, in which they reject another people who wants to dominate them.
And spread freedom and anarchy. So this is actually going to be interesting. Let's go talk to him. What happened since the police were kicked out, and how has crime been in the town?
So they're about to begin the third stage of this council, which is like the government over here. Not so much government. So, but the way they have been dealing with crime, it's there used to be a lot of murders, a lot of like kidnaps and extortions and several things like that. But since they took like control of that thing, they kicked those guys out, and as well as the politicians, because so some of them were involved. So the only crime they have been seeing over here are like juvenile misbehavior, guys who broke windows or stuff like that, but nothing else more than that. When it comes to security, they have like their own like group of people who's in charge of that. It's called Ronda Comunitaria, and they are the ones who are like taking care of the people who's like not being able to take care for themselves.
So there's no crime here ever since they kicked out the police. Very little crime, juvenile crime. How do they deal with the juvenile crime?
So the problem has been derived out of drug addiction, and the younger generation are like the ones in the younger generation are the ones who are committing those crimes, and they're related to well, drug consumption. It's an agency for rehabilitation. It's called Nuevo Amanecer. It's in charge to rehabilitate all of the population, not only the young people. And they are the ones who are like Alcoholics Anonymous that have been in the town for quite a while.
Can you tell us how the government system operates and how it works here?
¿Cómo opera el sistema de gobierno aquí y cómo funciona? When crime was very big in town, there was an uprising, so they threw them out of the town, and right after that they organized in a way in which their ancients used to do so, a very ancient government system from the Purépecha people. So the government is working in a way that it used to work before the Spanish came to this land, and the way that is, it's horizontal and circular. It's collective. Everyone's taking a part in something, and there are no hierarchies.
Would you describe Sharan as being in a state of anarchy?
He would say yes. Tehran is in a state of anarchy, but he wouldn't say that before because he just had like the mainstream definition of anarchy, which was conceived as mayhem, as mess, as chaos. But now that he knows what anarchy really means, he is sure Tehran is taking that place, because anarchy is self-government, total freedom, and without an established leadership.
Does he have any tips and advice for other people who are in struggle to do what they did?
So his tip and advice for people who's under the struggle of authoritarian regimes would be that get rid of conflict, because conflict always has violence with it, and in that way you can build a new system, a new form of societal organization. So his message to the world would be that humanity is in disorder right now, and humanity needs to go back to order. And there is a word, Juramuqua, that means self of governance that is based on the governance of oneself. And then you have order within yourself, so you can give that to the society, which would have as an outcome an organized society.
Is there anything else he wants to say or share with us?
Algo más que le gustaría decir o compartir con nosotros. So his last comment would be that Nana Eteri, which is Mother Earth, is struggling because of so many atrocities that are taking place right now among people and to the environment as well.
I think that is absolutely incredible. So there is an incredible opportunity here for us to see how this is working in other countries and how they've claimed back their own sovereignty from corruption. Okay, Sandra, we have Sandra giving us an update.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see so many people here from across Canada tonight. What a great turnout. We have been having spectacular weather here in Calgary. I hope you are enjoying a beautiful, it's officially fall now as well. So the first thing I'm going to start with tonight is just a reminder of our book club event on Saturday, October 1st. It is a watch party of the movie La Belle Verte, The Green Beautiful. It's a French movie and English subtitles, so you have to be prepared to read the subtitles. But it's a delightful movie. I will, after I finish my spiel, I'll put the contact or the information in the chat. It starts at 5 p.m. Pacific. In order to accommodate time zones, we have to start a little early on the West Coast, but 5 Pacific, 6 Mountain, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. The movie runs about an hour and a half, and then we might have a short discussion afterwards for people to express how they felt about the movie or any ideas. So keep that in mind on Saturday evening. So Karen asked me to speak tonight. We had an amazing whiteboard session yesterday of about 2 hours, and really worked through. Life Force Canada has existed for just about exactly 2 years now, and we have made a lot of progress and we've come a long way. One of the very first things that was ever done with Life Force Canada was creation of the website. And as usual, Karen is the one who has been the primary architect of that and does all the updates. She just recently did an update on the think tank page or the forum, as we're moving into calling them forums now as opposed to think tanks. But what Karen and I worked our way through over this 2-hour period was, where are we going? There's been an evolution. We have had discussions, or Karen has had discussions with various think tank facilitators to get their feedback and input on how things are going. We had to address things like there's different levels of engagement. We've got people who've been with us for 2 years. We've got people who are just new to us. And so everyone has a different level of integration into what we're doing. So how do we address those needs of everyone? And there's also some people, it's the 80-20 rule. Some people are more engaged. Some people are less engaged and just like to participate. And we're happy to operate as a support group and be a tribe, especially if it's across the country. It's wonderful. But our focus has always been on preparing for the collapse of the society, preparing for the new earth. And a lot of that, so our mission is about education, and thanks to Karen, our primary visionary and the one who has hosted these calls for every Monday night for 2 years. I would like everyone to take a moment and applaud her for her commitment to making this happen. So here's for Karen. Thank you for showing up for us, Karen, every week. And thank you to everyone else who has showed up as well. So just have to find my notes here. Our focus is primarily on creating a parallel society. Karen informed me that when she does speak with, like the presentation that she did with the World Health Council, when they speak about us, they speak about, oh, that's Life Force Canada. They're building a parallel society. So, and we've been putting all of the different building blocks together for that to happen and creating educational opportunities for that to happen. Of course, as Karen mentioned, the private membership association or alliance is a new evolution of how this is, it's the how of this is being structured. And then of course, ultimately leading to creation of intentional communities. But there's a process that we've been leading through, and it's, as Karen has constantly reminded us, it's a bridge. It's from the public to the private domain, and it's going to take time. And so what our whiteboard is kind of scattered all over, but it's what ultimately it came down to is that there will be this new it's not a new vision, it's more of a taking the vision that we have and formalizing it into some sort of a guiding document of, I guess you could call it a business plan. So we will be rolling that out over the next few weeks. It's going to take some time to pull that together and put it down. We'd already been in discussion about how to upgrade the forums and make them more action oriented, and what sort of a format to get more engagement happening. Of course, we just came through the summer. There was a bit of a lull. Everyone kind of caught their breath and took a little bit of a step back. But as we move into the fall season, and especially over winter, we hope that we can kind of maintain and build some momentum in some of the things that we're doing. There's lots of opportunities. There's things Karen shared with me, like the opportunity to create kind of an online university. But looking more towards like what do we do as far as how do we offer our workshops, and then bringing it back again to the different levels of engagement. There's some people that are just going to join the calls on Monday night and listen in and see what we're up to, and then there's those that are actually going to dig in and want to get active and do some things. So how do we guide that kind of engagement and activity and action, and actually not spin wheels so much. So that's my own words. I feel a lot of times like I've felt like I've been spinning my wheels. So a lot of the education focuses and where we're going. The personal development aspect is a big part of it, for as the bridge workshops have pointed out, that intentional communities fail because people aren't doing the personal work, or they can't figure out how to resolve conflicts or how to work together. The example that Karen just shared of the Mexican community is a really good example. They've got a really good start there, and we can hope that they keep doing it. I'm sure that they're probably a strong community of faith, and somehow that will help guide them as well. But those are just issues that you have to deal with, is how do we get along as people and live closely and cooperate and avoid conflict. So a lot of the work is on working on ourselves. It's not always externally focused. It is actually working on developing our responsibility, working on how do we do self-governance, which this Mexican community is an excellent example. Self-reliance we've been working on, of the growing of our own food, establishing supply lines and things like that. And then of course the bridge from the public to the private. So I think I've covered everything that I've got on my notes that to present to you. So it's just I guess a big sort of announcement or indication that we're evolving, and we're excited about the new direction and the new offerings and the new look. So I also want to mention, as I said, Karen is the main architect and manager of the website, and she just did an update on the forum page, or the think tank page. So we are kind of looking at, we have the 9 pillars, kind of looking at, we obviously have priority ones, and we've made great headway with the education portal, which helps parents and teachers exit the system. We've now got the health and well-being website for Alberta that we hope to be able to expand across the country soon. But it's operational in Alberta now to help practitioners exit the healthcare system and start creating that new well-being system. So we have those priorities, and we've made some accomplishments, but there's some areas where we maybe need to focus a little bit more attention. So I think that covers it. Karen, I don't know, did you need to prompt me on anything, or did you have any questions? Does anyone have any questions about what I've just said?
No, this is great. Yes, I'm all excited.
Yeah, it is very exciting. It really helped me sitting down with, like they say, doing this 2-hour whiteboard session to get a vision of where to put the energy. As I said to Karen, I'm in a constant state of assessing, where's my energy? Where's my energy going? Why am I accomplishing anything? Whether it's digging in my garden or whether it's here working with Life Force Canada. So we just want to make sure that we maximize our resources, maximize the energy, the output from the energy that we put in, and make sure that we have something to offer to everyone and that we keep everyone engaged. So with that, I yield, and have a good night, everybody.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sandra. I am just so honored to be on this journey with you. Love it. And thank you everyone for showing up and being who you are. Dr. Mark Trozy said that Life Force Canada is the parallel society pioneers. So we are all pioneers, everyone. Yeah, it is very exciting. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Sherry, the room is yours.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Sandra. So as far as health and well-being goes, as Karen's done actually a lot of work in getting that ready to roll for practitioners. So we encourage every single person here who is a practitioner to get your profiles ready, because your site is coming. We're starting with Alberta. I can't help but think that if you do work online, that it might be wise to actually put your profile in there as well, if it's not something that's location dependent. The reason Karen asked me to talk tonight is we did a fun activity within our committee. We really realized that we work best as a committee if we have an activity to organize, something concrete to actually do rather than just discussing ideas. So I believe it was Kendra who came up with the idea of doing a challenge. And then Candace suggested a treasure hunt idea. So what we did is we combined the idea of doing a health treasure hunt. And we had an evening at one of our meetings where we had a list of things. We broke off into groups, and then the groups within Lifeforce broke into their chat rooms or session rooms, and they had to come up with all the ingredients, things on the list, health-related items on the list. And the team that got all of them plus a bonus one won. So what it did was it was really interesting. At the beginning of the meeting, our energy was here. We usually, go like this, but it really energized people to start, thinking about their health and practical things that they should have in their home should things become more difficult to actually find. And as we exit from the traditional healthcare system, and with my work recently with Children's Health Defense, interviewing parents who had faith in the system to take care of their children, and as a result of that faith or belief that the system would take care of their children were removed from their custody. So, and I'm now hearing stories. There's literally thousands of these stories across Canada, and we know hundreds of thousands across the United States. I just found out today the average child that gets taken from a home for CPS makes independent organizations, not the government, but independent organizations, $3.3 million for each child that's removed from the home. So that's, it's mind-blowing. So we're actually now seeing a system where our children, we saw the woman Willow in BC, if you followed her story, where her child had a fever and a seizure, which Amanda Vollmer, who's a naturopath, would say, these are very normal things that happen to children that can be dealt with and taken care of in the home. So I'm highlighting these stories because as we start to develop our own parallel system, school, childcare, education, healthcare, true well-being, part of actually the transition of doing this is to make your house equipped with everything that you need should you have to take care of most health conditions that can be taken care of at home. And there's so much more we can be doing. So I'm not going to suggest that we have kits for sewing up arms that have been lopped off. I don't think there's any kind of, essential oil that's going to grow an arm back. I'm not talking about being unrealistic, but there will be a transition time, and we are seeing the Mental Health Act, as you guys know, last year from Sean, the firefighter who I spoke about, and the physical, the medical system. If we look at people like David Stefan, this is being weaponized to take our children away. And if you think about it, you get the children, as we know, one generation of children can impact 7 to 10 generations, as we saw with residential school. I spoke to a woman named Serena Freedom Bear. We're developing a project that's activating mama bears to start protecting our, mamas, so that we actually know the laws to be able to protect our children should these things be weaponized against us. And she said, in her experience, that they were just practicing with the Indigenous children in residential schools. They were just practicing for what they're actually planning to do to all of humanity. So part of getting medically equipped in our own homes is about moving into the parallel system as gracefully as possible and really stepping into our sovereignty and owning our power and understanding the ability of the body to heal itself when, number one, it's not being poisoned, number two, it's being nourished, and number three, we have things that can help us start to repair the damage that's being done from all the environmental things and threats we're under. So that will be coming up next month. I can't remember off the top of my head what night we had suggested for that, Karen. But I just want to, again, give a shout out to the committee for the last challenge that we did. It was so much fun, and we learned, and our energy levels were so much higher. So we hope that you'll actually be joining us for that one. We're going to come up with a new list of things so that the Alberta people don't have an advantage having participated before. But we'd also like to share the list from the Alberta one, because it was such a great list. We came up with those are our top 20, and so we'll do our next tier. The other thing I just quickly want to say is Alberta, we want to actually do a weekend workshop it will be virtual, and everyone will be invited to do this. Everyone will be welcome. And we also encourage other provinces to have their own workshops featuring their own practitioners to start to skill people to give solutions to mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually prepare each other for what's ahead. And with that, I yield.
Beautiful, Sherry. Thank you so much for all that you do and the committee. We so appreciate you. I do believe we were looking at either it was, I think, the 10th or the 17th. I think you're
10th.
The 10th?
Yeah, 10th.
Okay, excellent. Okay, I think everyone is going to really enjoy that. It was a lot of fun. Okay, so before I bring John on, I just want to share my screen again. Amazing things to share with you today. Okay, you've probably seen this already, but I think it's just important to repeat this. Okay, how many of you have seen the message to the unvaccinated? This was written by Fernando. I do believe he's a biologist. I just wanted to read this to everyone. For those who have yet to read it, even if I were fully vaccinated, I would admire the unvaccinated for withstanding the greatest pressure I have ever seen, even for partners, parents, children, friends, colleagues, and doctors. People who are capable of such personality, courage, and critical ability are undoubtedly the best of humanity. They are everywhere in all ages, levels of education, states, and ideas. They are of a special kind. They are the soldiers that every army of light wants to have in its ranks. They are the parents that every child wants to have, and the children that every parent dreams of having. They are beings above the average of their societies. They are the essence of the people who have built all cultures and conquered horizons. They are there next to you. They look normal, but they are superheroes. They did what others could not. They were the tree that withstood the hurricane of insults, discrimination, and social exclusion. And they did it because they thought they were alone and believed they were the only ones. Banned from their families' tables at Christmas, they never saw anything so cruel. They lost their jobs, let their careers sink, had no more money, but they didn't care. They suffered immeasurable discrimination, denunciation, betrayal, and humiliation, but they kept going. Never before in humanity has there been such a casting. Now we know who are the best on planet Earth. Women, men, old, young, rich, poor, of all races or religions, the unvaccinated, the chosen of the invisible ark, the only ones who managed to resist when everything collapsed. That's you. You passed an unimaginable test that many of the toughest Marines, commandos, Green Berets, astronauts, and geniuses could not withstand. You are made of the stuff of the greatest who ever lived. Those heroes born among ordinary men who glow in the dark. That is you, my friends. Yes, breathe that in. Beautiful. Okay, thank you everyone for all your amazing comments in the chat. I love all of you. Okay, as we know, bartering is the oldest form of commerce dating back centuries. We all know that barter is a trade of goods and services between two or more people that does not include the use of money or a monetary device such as a credit card. John Porter is founder of BarterPAY and knows that Barterit may be a great fit for our members. So we know that the fiat currency system is on the way out and the digital ID is just around the corner. So finding new ways to trade for services and products is going to be key to our sovereignty. John, welcome to our call.
Thank you so much for having me. You bring me to tears the second I come on. Thanks so much.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing your story on how you started your company and where it's expanding to, especially during this time of transition right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing. we just are honored and grateful and blessed to be in a position to have stuck with it long enough and have been naive enough in the early years to just keep going and going and going, despite, you know, all the adversity to try and build a barter economy, right, when it was way too early to the market. So yeah, I thought I would start, Karen, just by sort of explaining in a quick way sort of the how we work with B2B first on the BarterPAY side, and then just transition quickly into the more interesting side, which is the Barter IT side. I think that, you know, will apply to everybody in Canada, every freedom-loving family, and hopefully more and more people as they become awake and transition to like the rest of us. So essentially, like Karen just mentioned, I mean, bartering in and of itself is really the oldest form of commerce, right? But for two parties to enter into a fair trade, each side has to want what the other person has at the same time and value, or they can't really make that trade. It's actually called the coincidence of wants, believe it or not. And so to solve that problem, that's why money was invented, right? Just to kind of take away the conundrum of that one-on-one bartering. And so basically all we've done is built this platform that allows businesses to open an account with BarterPAY. They can offer up their goods or services to the network. In exchange, they earn a barter credit. One barter credit equals $1 for valuation purposes. And the key to it is that regardless of who acquires their good or service, they can take that newly earned revenue stream of barter credits and they can actually barter and trade with anybody in the entire ecosystem, this closed loop system. So no longer are they restricted to try and find one-on-one trading partners, bartering partners. It's now this one-to-many ecosystem of like-minded businesses, this sharing economy, this closed loop ecosystem where they're all trading their, you know, unsold time and space and extra inventory and monetizing all that spare capacity sort of on the B2B level. And we've got a 4,000 or so, 4,400 businesses on that platform. Obviously, COVID has brought a lot of awareness to what we're up to and what we're building for businesses. And so we're excited about that. But at the same time, all these crazy lockdowns really hampered our business because when businesses were closed, we were in the transaction business. They weren't even doing any transactions, let alone barter. So it was it's been an interesting couple of years, but we've made it through and we seem to be really on the on that hockey stick curve at this point on the B2B side. How we handle that in our system is we really want to make sure that we're a human-to-human relational company. It's not just a tech-driven company at all. It's really, we sign a barter coach, a real-life person to every business that joins the system. And that person is tasked to help that business barter and trade in our network. And so, again, we've been doing that for 25 years, building that system. We've got a team of about 30 people across Canada, over 150 years of combined experience in the sort of barter payment space. And yeah, I can explain in a second sort of how we got started, but it was very difficult to get off the ground. But the momentum that we have now is obviously helping us in a big way. So yeah, to transition it over to barter, for the last 5 years, my wife and I have been approached numerous times to open this up to people because, people have skills and products and goods. And if they're downsizing, they've got, furniture, now they got gardens and chickens and all sorts of things that they're doing, honey. And so they want to be able to barter that. And obviously this audience that I'm speaking to now and the rest of the freedom fighting and freedom loving Canadians across this country see the writing on the wall with the fiat system. And they really want to be prepared for what's to come in every aspect, these parallel, ecosystems that we're trying to set up. And so we put it off for a while, but this last 6 months, we've really, felt led really to just launch this. And so we're going to take everything that we've learned on the B2B side and just apply it over to the sort of the peer-to-peer, person-to-person side. And essentially that's now Barter IT. So I was going to share my screen. I know Karen wanted me to share a couple of videos too. So if you go to Barterit.ca, obviously you're looking at it here. This is kind of a landing page that we set up about maybe a month ago or so. Also, if you're on Instagram, if you happen to be there, follow at the Barter Coach. That's me. And you can kind of follow along our journey as we build this out. But essentially, we set this up about a month and a bit ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, and we've had, I think, almost 2,500 people now go to the website here and fill out this little quick form, get notified when we launch, without much promotion at all. And again, we're launching this with the freedom, loving community across this country who understands it, who knows about it, who wants this solution. And so this is who we're talking to, our audience, right? So yeah, you want to barter, but you can't find people to connect with, and you really don't want to keep track of who owes what. It's messy, it's complicated, but not anymore. And so I was going to play this quick kind of how it works video, and we have to be careful. Like I mentioned to Karen, we're doing a bit of a dance right now because we kind of have to fly under the radar, and we can't talk about how on this website how, you know, this could replace and be a you know, a stopgap for the collapsing fiat system. We can't talk about, you know, the evil people in this world that run the money systems and that sort of thing. We kind of have to talk about just the idea of sharing and bartering and building community and all those great fuzzy warm things that people, you know, a general audience would be appeal to them. Know that we're reading between the lines. In fact, I'm on the phone, or I'm on a podcast tomorrow with Sheila Gunn from Rebel News, who contacted me a couple weeks ago. And same idea. We're going to do a massive release with Rebel News in the next couple of weeks here. And I just said to her, let's keep it to the sort of, you know, we got, again, her words were, let's keep it, you know, no politics, not talk about how this could be a way that, you know, JT can't touch our bank accounts and that sort of thing. But again, the viewers and your audience will kind of read between the lines and know that we're kind of giving you a wink all the way along here. So let's just play this video.
Jack loves photography. Lisa is a carpenter.
Okay.
Janita gardens and cooks incredible dishes. Jack wants some ready-made meals, but he doesn't want to spend his hard-earned cash right now. He happens to know Janita and asks her if she will barter meals for a photo shoot. Janita doesn't need a photo shoot, but she really wants a rustic wooden cabinet and doesn't want to spend money either. Lisa is handy and can build anything with wood, but Jack and Janita don't even know who she is. She loves the idea of barter, but none of them know how to find each other. Lisa would love new photos for some projects she's doing, but even if she magically found Jack to barter with, Jack would say he doesn't need her carpentry skills. What will they all do? There's a lot of skills and products out there that people need access to, but they aren't connecting with each other. Someone needs their dog walked. Another person has extra bread. Someone's chickens laid more eggs than they can use. The list is endless, and people want to pay for things they need by bartering the stuff they have and their skills. How great would it be for Jack if he could pay for some meals by bartering a bunch of photo shoots instead of having to use money? Is that even possible? Yes. Introducing Barterit, an app where anyone can connect person to person and barter with each other and not worry about keeping track of who owes what and all the painful details everyone has to deal with when they try to barter one-on-one with each other. Like, oh geez, how many eggs will I have to take from that guy if I mow his lawn? I don't even like eggs. The app solves this problem. How? It's easy. 1. Just download the Barterit app and follow the simple instructions. 2. Offer up your skills or products, like carpentry or eggs, and earn bits in your online wallet. Bits simply mean points. It's 1 for 1. 1 bit equals 1 Canadian dollar for valuation purposes. 3. Use your bits with anyone else in the Barterit community through the app. And the best part is, now Jack, Janita, and Lisa will all get to meet each other, barter their carpentry, photos, and food, and not have to use money. Just bits. Go to Barterit.ca to learn more about how to join this incredible new community.
Fantastic.
Jack loves photography.
That's sort of the Barterit system explained on a high level. You know, what we don't talk about there is that this actually is a parallel economy with its own separate sovereign points/currency type system. So the fact is, you know, we need to all be prepared and get ready and practice how to actually transact in a different way, a new parallel system. So it's not going to be the silver bullet that, you know, solves every problem in the world. But if we can get, you know, hundreds of thousands and, you know, potentially 1 million households and people on this platform all transacting in this bits currency, then we can actually have a way that we can actually exit the matrix, so to speak, and have our own way to exchange value. Without having to use Canadian dollars and be attached to that evil fiat system. So that's kind of the bit system. And also, I had another thought there, but it just escaped me, but I'll think about it in a second here. So yeah, that is bits. Really, we want everybody to be sending people here to get notified when we launch. It's all about creating awareness right now. We have a number of people, hundreds of people actually across Canada that have been contacting us to help invest. We've had people making donations to help us get this off the ground. It's going to be very, intensive, a lot of work in the next 4 to 6 months to really get this thing built. That's what I was going to say. This isn't just about, and this will transition nice into the next video with this whole build your tribe and community aspect. This app will not be you have to use the bits, right? It's about bringing people together and Barter It meetups. You can, if you meet somebody through this app and through this community and you want to do a direct trade, then do a direct trade. If you want to do some bits and some money and some direct trade, then do that. If you want to do it all through bits, that's okay too. If you just want to give somebody something for free because you have extra and you don't care either way, then that's okay too. So there's an amazing group of people across this country, freedom fighters, who've actually been building these directories, whether it's these massive Facebook groups or groups like yourself that are trying to promote and highlight freedom businesses so that everybody spends their Canadian dollars and supports those businesses. And those are awesome systems and those are great. We just need to combine it all and weave the entire community together across the country with a directory, with a way to meet each other, physical meetups, and also a way to transact without having to use Canadian dollars. So we feel that we have the solution and we got the expertise to build that. So I was going to share this other video here called "This Is Your Tribe," and we'll just share a screen here.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Glad that worked. Again, this is about a system, a parallel economic system. It's about having another way to transact value in another digital medium of exchange, so we're not tied to the fiat system. It's about community. It's about physical meetups. It's about just, again, weaving the entire freedom-loving community across Canada under one banner and one economic platform. So yeah, with that, I'll just kind of open it up to questions.
Okay, thank you so much, John. I'm so glad you're here. This has been a big conversation with a lot of our members, and I know that you are involved with other freedom movements. A lot of people are contacting you as well, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, there's lots. Again, Rebel News, and I'm assuming when that story comes out, I think, True North and Druthers and a bunch of other ones, and there's a number of also, I call them freedom influencers on Instagram that have been really sharing our story. Whether, I don't know if you guys any know of these names, but Sarah Swain and Andre Lapierre and just a number of them. They've got anywhere from 20. Sunit out in Vancouver, and they've got about 15 to 35,000 followers. Kid Carson, he's been sharing our stuff, and so it's really gathering a lot of steam, and that's what we need to see. Everybody jumping on board, and the more. It's kind of like back, I was going to tell you about the founding story of BarterPAY. When I was 20 years old and heading to Waterloo for engineering, I kind of took a left-hand turn and got into sales and marketing and ended up not going to school, and instead opened up a barter exchange as a 20-year-old. Here I am walking into the first business, and it was an office furniture store in Ancaster, just outside of Hamilton here. We needed a couple of workstations. And so again, I opened the yellow pages. I was cold calling businesses, trying to pitch this whole bartering idea way too early to market. Technology wasn't there. Mindset of business owners wasn't there. It was all cash, check, Visa, MasterCard. Anyways, I get this guy on the phone who happened to grow up on a farm. And he's like, I love horse trading. I've got all this extra gently used furniture in my back warehouse. I just did a deal with McMaster University. They got all, new stuff. I took their old stuff. Come see me. So I go there and we tour the back office, the back warehouse. He's like, okay, I'll give you 4 workstations. It's 3,000 barter credits. I was like, okay, no problem. We can make that work. And so as we filled out the application, I knew the question was coming and I didn't know what the answer was going to be. And I had to kind of just think on my feet. But he says to me, oh, by the way, John, before I give up this office furniture and take these barter credits, whereabouts can I utilize them? who else in your system can I go and use them with and get things back that I need? I said, well, Terry, sorry, man, like you're the first guy to join the network. There's nobody else in the system, but don't worry. Just give me a list of what you're looking for and I'll hustle and we'll, talk to some vendors that you need and we'll get one more on and then one more on and we'll just build this slowly. And so that's what we did over the last 25 years, along my wife and I, who actually does all of our marketing and videos. Debbie just celebrated our 26th anniversary. We got 4 sons aged almost 16 to 23. And so that was, building an unconventional business, with 4 boys and just all that goes on with our family and all that was a great ride over the last 25 years and a lot of life lessons. And we just, again, stuck with it long enough. I've actually tried to leave the barter business at least 5 times. Real estate, construction. I was like, Debbie, there's way easier ways to make money than banging our head against this wall, trying to get businesses to barter. And, for such a time as this is why we're here. And so you look back and you learn, you start to see, the path behind you and how that was, just orchestrated divinely, for us to be in this position now to actually serve people. So yeah, anyways, that's where I'll open up for questions and go from there.
Thank you, John. Happy anniversary. So great.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much.
Sherry says you only look 20.
Oh my, yeah. No, I get that quite a bit, but I've got gray in my beard. This light, this is good lighting here.
Okay, yes, we're going to open up for questions now. And so if anyone has questions, please raise your hand. We have 2 here. So Dwayne, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Karen. Good evening, everyone. John, great presentation and happy anniversary to you as well.
Thank you.
Interesting that you're bringing this up in this time frame, which I believe your timing couldn't be better. I, as like you, was involved with barter exchanges. In fact, it was 1996. I was involved with an organization called Mutual Exchange Canada.
Yep.
And which started in Vancouver and moved into Calgary. And that's why I came to Calgary as one of their associates. And
Nice.
it was an incredible run. They were very, very deep in the Vancouver market and they were very deep in the Calgary market. And it was going incredible. And unfortunately, there was a lot of egos involved and there was the partners, it just imploded from the inside. Mm-hmm. And out of the ashes of that, while it was imploding, other exchanges were starting to come up as well around that time here in Calgary and all over Alberta. But like you said, it's one of those things where it's before its time. And a lot of people that were involved with it, it's kind of hit a critical mass and just kind of fizzled out. Mm-hmm. But now, because of the level of awareness and how people are viewing our current system and being very reticent about participating in that system, people are talking about barter, and to be able to create a system where it is not item for item, where you actually have a container of a pool of bits, as you put it, is brilliant, and it's a great idea, and its time has come. And I think that there is a huge uptick in interest to be a part of this, not just because it's going to be convenient. And the other piece of that, from a business standpoint, if any of you are in business, to unload some of your access inventory in this way is brilliant. It's a really, really great way of unloading some of your access inventory. And you can also put some of that inventory aside specifically just for barter. And I think you're onto something, John. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes with you.
Dwayne, you're hired again. I'll just send you the contract right now. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And wise words and great summary. Thank you so much.
John, did I see correctly in Instagram that you did the 75 hard challenge?
I did. Yeah, I started that on March 25th here in Southern Ontario, thinking that I would, have some nice weather. And the first 3 weeks, it was like -10 and snow every day. But yeah, I did 75 hard. Actually, I got to day 52, failed. I fell asleep reading and didn't complete my 10 pages. And then woke up the next morning to like Andy Frizella's arms. Did you fail? don't lie. And I had to, tell the truth and start over again. And my sons made me start 3 days later. So I got to day 42 the second time and kind of strained my lower back. So I did 93 hard with a 3-day break, and I thought that was good.
Well, that's something else that you and Dwayne have in common. Dwayne did it as well.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I did it 2 years ago, and watching Andy, I'm a huge fan of Andy. He's doing it in the rain. He goes, "You got to do it. Doesn't matter when."
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh, you know what? I'm going to have 6 or 7 days of really shitty weather, and I'm going to have to do it.
Yeah.
Well, 23 days out of the 75 were epic thunderstorms, just epic, not just a little rain, but epic thunderstorms. And every one of those days were the best days. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the whole program, right? It's a mental game, not a physical one mostly, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dwayne. So John, I just have the BarterPAY website link. I can't seem to find the Barter It to put in the chat.
Barterit.ca. So I'll throw that in the chat there. And
Thank you.
again, anybody who has a business. So what's been happening is I've been sharing the Barter It message with all these freedom influencers on Instagram. And now 3 weeks later, I'm going back and saying to them, hey, there's like we have BarterPay functioning now, and we've got businesses in the freedom community now joining. Like Barter It has become a bit of a lead funnel for BarterPay because it's built, it's there now working. And so yeah, anybody who owns a conventional business right now anywhere in the country can join BarterPay. Just go to BarterPay.ca, click get started. You'll end up booking a 10-15 minute discovery call with my best right hand guy, Cody. And he's a freedom guy too, and he'll make sure there's a fit. We just want to have that quick call, connect, make sure there's a fit, make sure we're not like signing up a business somewhere in way up north somewhere where we don't have proximity to other clients, and just bring people in as an as needed basis, and then boom, we'll get you started, get you bartering. And then obviously, I think I saw another question on the timeline for Barter It. We're in a bit of a chicken and egg game, no pun intended. In fact, our technology company is called Chicken and Egg Technology. And we've got a lot of people who want to invest, and we got a lot of people who want this solution. We're on the phone tomorrow. Like we're limited to 50 shareholders on a private company. We got so many people that want to throw in, $200, $500, $2,000, and I don't want to cut them out. So we actually found a company in BC called Front Funder. We're going to talk to them tomorrow and figure out if there's a way to do an equity crowdfunding deal where we could have 3,000, 2,000, 7,000 owners, right? And so that we can share the whole system. And if we get 5,000 people investing through that platform, now we got 5,000 owners. We can just all become advocates and just really, really grow this thing. Because the bigger the Barter It, the more nodes in the network, the more people that come on and start operating in bits, the sooner we can actually have that option and be ready to exit the system if we need to, right? Sorry, that was probably a long-winded answer to a short question. I digressed a little bit.
I want to thank Doris for introducing me to you. Doris from Lawyers for Truth, everyone.
Right.
So this is one of the reasons why I connected with John. So thank you to Doris.
Yes.
Jim, go ahead. Question.
Yes, John. Have you had any hassle from Revenue Canada, or do you expect any?
So no, not hassle at all. On the BarterPay side, they actually like what we do, ironically, because we take some of the underground bartering that has actually occurred in the past and we formalize it and put it on paper, and they define one barter credit equal to $1 for valuation accounting and accounting purposes. So on the BarterPay side, really barter paying and doing barter credits, earning and spending is kind of a net zero from a tax perspective. There's no advantage or disadvantage. It's just a formality that they want to see kind of running through. 25% of our members probably don't even claim it. Like that's up to them, and they don't have to. If they don't want to, that's totally their business. But no, Revenue Canada kind of likes what we do. If they knew that I was having this conversation right now, obviously that would be a bit of a different story. But we have to, again, it's about being ready, right? We can play the game and we can do the dance for as long as we need to in order to actually have a critical mass of, hundreds of thousands of businesses and millions of people that are adopting these new ways of doing business and transacting. So it's all about at what point do we actually, rise out of the whatever below the radar and come above the radar and actually really do it in a big way, right? So anyways, on the Barter It side, like the personal side, it's really just, Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji all in one, but adding the whole bartering bit system without using Canadian money. So all those transactions are non-taxable events anyway. So it's, it's right in the tax code that those are non-taxable events. So they don't care about that, right? So that's cool.
Well, I'm surprised to hear that, because I did hear years ago that they took a dim view of bartering and they wanted to tax it somehow. So congratulations on that. And we can all hope for the day of their demise.
100%. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll yield. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim. Tanya, go ahead.
Hi, just hopefully quick question. How do you value the products people want to barter? You know, I know you say a bit is worth $1, but some things are hard to put a price on. So how do you set the prices?
Yeah. So the seller will set the price no differently than Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji or Craigslist or whatever. You set the price and the marketplace will dictate whether that price is worth it or not, right? So if you're pricing it too high in comparison to Canadian dollar value, then it probably won't sell and you'll have to kind of lower the price, right? So it's really just the marketplace will dictate that. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, okay. Pretty simple then.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, totally. We didn't want to make it some ratio where everybody has to pull out a calculator to figure out if it's a good deal or not. For the time being, we have to kind of peg it to the Canadian dollar value just for adoption purposes. And who knows what happens in the future if, you know, our system, obviously we don't want to have hyperinflation. We don't want to have any, you know, crazy things going on like that. So it's a matter of keeping the system true and sovereign and, being accountable and having integrity and all these things that we want in a financial sort of system, right? Oh, there'll also be a real-time ratings and reviews where the seller can rate the buyer can rate the seller. And that's about, making sure that the system is self-governed, and then anybody who's trying to, play games or whatever is just going to have a low rating and eventually be weeded out of the system. Those that have a higher rating are going to, be more, people are just going to do business with them more, right?
Oh, okay. That sounds like a good plan. The same as Airbnb and all of those. Okay.
Yep. Uber, Airbnb, we got to do that.
Yep. Great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tanya. LJ, go ahead.
Hi, John. Thank you very much. Very exciting. I'm doing a lot of work with private membership associations, and this looks like it would be a great fit with part of that, because is it possible that we can keep some of that in the private? Do you think if we were to use a mechanism to do that?
Possibly. I've only had one conversation about PMAs, a little bit with Doris, but I was on another call randomly a month ago with some Ontario group that was talking about PMAs as well. And my question really didn't get answered. And that was, does a PMA actually create some sort of veil where legally, the powers that be currently can't penetrate? And I haven't ever gotten a clear answer on that. So I don't know exactly if a PMA is the right way to go. I don't know if it's I don't know that yet, but we're going to continue to do research and make sure that we make the right choice. We also have to be cognizant of speed to market and get this thing moving ASAP. So I don't know how to answer that exactly, but we've been looking at it from every different direction to make sure that we make the right choice. And nothing stops us if we go in one direction and start this way. Nothing stops us from converting it. Why? Because every single shareholder, whether we go the private route, whether we go the front funder route on a crowdfunding equity basis, we're going to make sure that every single one of those people is of like-minded people, so that if we do have to shift and change direction, there's kind of a unanimous agreement across the board where people are like, yeah, that makes sense. Let's do this, right? So we don't want to have people owning part of this that don't have that vision and that they're not aligned with the mission of what we're up to, right?
Yeah, I see it very much as alignment. And I think that we can do both, to be honest with you, because private membership is protected. It does have a mechanism to keep us out of the government overreach. It basically is created in order to step into the private and stay in the private. And this is actually very much private in many ways. The only difference is that you're putting it on the internet, it's being used, and you do have Revenue Canada aware of it. However, it doesn't matter. They can be aware of it. We still have the option to be public-private. Like there's, ways I could do so. As you move along, I will certainly stay involved and interested, because I think that it is an answer for a lot of the issues that come up when you're dealing in private membership associations that are founder-driven, or foundered and then and that it would give us the option of how to enlarge it and how to reach out and how to start using membership in more of a barter mechanism. So I'm very excited to hear this, and I will certainly follow along and see how it fits with our PMA process. So
Sounds
thank
good.
you very much.
Thank you, LJ. Really appreciate
Okay,
your comments.
thanks. Okay, I yield.
Yes, LJ. Thank you for your great questions. Ole, go ahead.
John, thank you. I appreciate very good idea, and actually that's what I'm trying to implement between members of our community in physical space. And we already tried to barter things like products between each other. I mean, products of food products. So my question was about exactly what Tanya asked before, but I didn't hear, like you answered that you evaluate your products according with the marketplace. But when I enter Barter to Barter, like Barter IT, I'm not a marketplace. So how me, who is trying to barter my skills that never been applied in the marketplace, how can I convert them to barter credits?
What skills would you be talking about, Oleg?
I don't know. For example, I work for the corporation in IT, okay? But say my talent is in gardening.
Gardening, right?
For example, yes.
Yeah.
So how can I evaluate my skills in gardening when I never applied? But I would like, so say I waste my time in work for IT, but my talent is in gardening.
Right. So again, the marketplace is going to start to dictate that value, right? Like it could be an hourly rate, it could be on a consulting basis again, like it could be on a physical, like I'm actually going to build your garden and plant it and do whatever, right? So it's hard to know exactly how that's going to play out, but I know that when you build a marketplace, ultimately it becomes a fair and equitable system when you let the marketplace decide what something's worth, right? And so, it's also going to depend on how many bits one might want and how quickly they might want them or need them. For example, if somebody doesn't have any bits and they're in gardening and they notice something on the marketplace that they need, like say honey, or they need tires for their car or whatever it is, and they really want to obtain those items that are available at this moment in time, they may discount their price for what they do to earn quick bits so they can go and acquire that thing before somebody else acquires it, right? So again, we're dealing with an infinite amount of people that an infinite amount of requests and buying possibilities, and potentially a finite amount of actual services and goods that could be delivered. So there might always be a little bit of an imbalance in what, we try and balance it obviously the best we can, but there sometimes can be a little bit of an imbalance. So again, I don't know if I'm rambling there, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the marketplace that will dictate what something is worth. And you just have to start somewhere, right? You got to put a price point on it and up or down based on how people are reacting to that price.
So in this case, you described the marketplace within the bartering system, right?
Pardon me?
You described the marketplace within the bartering system.
Yeah, but it is a marketplace. That's really what we're building, right?
Right.
Yeah. But we're also saying that you don't have to use that system. You could just use that system to connect with people and do direct trades if you want. Like we're not going to dictate, like on the BarterPAY side, every transaction we set up is usually with a coach. And so for doing all that work and brokering deals and massaging transactions, we get paid a 12 to 15% commission on every barter transaction we set up. On the Barter IT side, we're not charging any commission. So it's like, we're just creating the platform, and because we're freedom fighters, we know how to build this and want to build it and understand the reasoning behind it and the deeper meaning behind it, right? And so it's a matter of just delivering this platform to the people. The way we'll be able to make money and build it and keep on adding features and make sure that it's everything it needs to be from a security standpoint. We don't want to take any public money. We don't want to go public. We don't want to exit. We don't want to take grants from the government. Like we don't want to have loans from the government. Like we just want to be separate and sovereign in our own system too. So it's going to be like a small subscription fee, like $3 to $5 a month or whatever it ends up being. We know that this community, we've got people making, like I think I said this already, making donations, and we haven't even built it yet, right? So they just want to see it done, right? So we know that that'll be the way. So Yeah, some people will pay it, some people won't. Some people will just do it because even if they don't use it, they'll just pay the $5 because they want to support this parallel economy, right?
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think Trevor was next, maybe.
Yes, go ahead. Thank you, Lake. Trevor.
Thanks, John. This is an amazing idea. So good. One of the burning questions that's been in my mind is like, well, a lot of us have fossil fuel burning cars. Is there anybody come forward that is like offering fossil fuels like gasoline as their service?
So not yet. And the reason I say not yet is because that's my answer to every time I hear that question. It's always not yet. Because as we build out our BarterPAY community, we always thought like we'll never have wine. But just today, we landed a $300,000 wine deal with a winery in Niagara where they've got extra inventory. It's actually a publicly traded company called Diamond Estates. And they're sitting on about 300 grand worth of wine that's extra. And they want to just move the entire lot through our BarterPAY system. And so we've already sold in the first 48 hours, $210,000 worth of that wine into barter credits. So
Wow.
Now we have wine. Now on the fuel side, if you think about margins, it's hard, the tighter the margin on a good or service, the harder it is to put in the BarterPAY system because the business has to liquidate quickly in order to recover their what's called their cost of goods. So an example would be if I'm a massage therapist and I've got extra hours that I'm not selling and I barter, I'm only trading my time. There's no hard cost out of pocket for me to earn those barter credits. But if I'm a tire dealer and someone wants to order a set of tires, I got to buy in those tires from my supplier at like 70% hard cost. And so I have a $700 outlay to bank 1,000 barter credits. And so these margins kind of play into how much people will barter and how they'll barter. And so fuel, again, it's almost like they've got no margin, right? So we don't have that yet. But as BarterPAY and Barter.it become more prevalent and become an actual, mainstream form of payment, more and more of those other services and goods will come into the network because it becomes more and more like current money, just not controlled by the evil regime, right? So it's all about a transition over time.
Okay, that's awesome. I got one more question.
Sure.
I'm a musician and sound worker, and I'm sure you've had plenty of people come in who are that.
Yeah.
Some of the payment situations are a little bit complex, though, and I'm wondering how it would be handled. And for example, you might go agree to do an event, and you get paid according to the amount of people that show up, according to that pool, right? Well, how does it work in that situation? Or is it more of just a factor of, well, I'm just deciding on an amount for my service, within Calgary area or something like that, because travel time is a factor too.
Yep. The general rule of thumb is whatever you would have charged in the regular world is the fair market retail value. You would do nothing different in the BarterPAY world, just the same. In fact, it's actually better because you never discount. Like that for that winery to move that 300 grand worth of wine the way they need to move it to get space in their warehouse, and plus the white, in the next year is going to hit expiry, they would have to sell it at 50% off. 50% off in the Canadian dollar world to get rid of it. But they're selling it at full value within the BarterPAY system and protecting that margin. So no differently, you just charge your regular going fair market retail rate. If there's extra travel time, you bill that. If there's more people, you ratchet it up based on those different thresholds. And dollar for dollar, bank the barter credits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you. That'll yield.
Thank you, Trevor. Great questions. Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
You may have answered this already, but okay. So let's say there's a carpenter who builds a fence for a farmer. So instead of paying the builder $1,000 in cash for labor and supplies, the farmer reimburses the carpenter with $1,000 worth of produce or groceries. So is there a time limit on when the farmer needs to reimburse the carpenter?
Well, in that case, they're doing a direct trade, right? They're not even using the bits. They might have met through Barter.it,
yes,
but now they're actually transacting on a direct bait. Why? Because they've actually solved the conundrum of the coincidence of wants. The farmer needs a fence, and the fence needs food. The carpenter needs food, and it's of equal value roughly, and they make a direct trade. Now, if there's time that passes over time, the risk there is accounts receivable, and that's another reason why businesses are, instead of doing direct trades where one party provides services to another, they have to hope that other, because there's no record, they have to hope that other party actually doesn't just go away and not provide the services back, especially if there's timeline involved, right? One's instant and one's over time, unless you can eat $1,000 worth of food in, you know, one day, right? And so, yeah, so it's a matter of, you know, there has to be an element of trust is actually probably the other thing in terms of the direct barter.
Yes.
Whereas our system, a lot of businesses are converting over to the BarterPay and barter credits because they diversify their risk in a massive way, because they don't have to worry about if that person ever pays them. It's like they get paid instantly in those credits, and then they have liquidity across thousands of other businesses. They don't have to depend on that one reciprocal transaction, right? So I hope that answers your question, but
yes,
they can direct trade and take the risk of that, or they could actually do bits. You know, one way that the farmer would pay 1,000 bits to the carpenter the day that he's finished. And then if the farmer wants to, he can spend those 1,000 bits back with the farmer for the food, but doesn't have to. And again, because there's no commission and nothing like that, they might as well exchange bits because it's actually safer and just more easier to track and that sort of thing for themselves, right?
that makes so much sense. Thank
Yeah.
you, John. I know there's questions in the chat. I'm just kind of scrolling through here.
I can just kind of read a bunch and then just kind of quickly answer some if you want.
Absolutely.
How long to officially launch? It's probably going to be about from the time we actually figure out the funding to getting the legal done, which Doris is working on, to the front foot, whatever. It's probably going to be about 6 months to really sprint to the build out of it. So I think it's kind of like late spring 2023 is kind of what I'd love to do, but we'll hopefully hit that. At what point in the first 52 days did you deliver your baby? No, my youngest of 4 is 16. So that was in 2007. Micah Henry Martin, named after my grandfather. Cooperation, barter PMAs. Will you be able to separate your Barterit bits from the internet at some point? We're thinking about that already, because obviously, you know, it's again, that's why we're looking to raise a substantial amount of cash. I think there's a Gab. Gab is something I've come across in the USA. They've raised hundreds of thousands and probably millions of dollars to make sure that they build their own separate technology systems and their own servers and all this stuff. And that's something that we really want to do. So again, we're thinking about that and making sure that as we grow and as we get more and more foothold in the marketplace and more adoption, we're going to make sure that we take a lot of the cash that we are able to earn and reinvest it into these sovereign systems from a technology standpoint. But my system.
I just added your email in the chat. And
What's
Simon,
that?
I just added your email in the chat. So
okay, good.
Simon, yeah, Simon's asking for it.
Yeah. Didn't get the difference between the 12 to 15% commission and what was the other. So like that's on the BarterPay side. We have our standard commission that we charge is 12.95%. On the buyer is the one that pays the fee. So we have to do both sides of our job. In that wine deal, for example, when we sell the $300,000 worth of wine for the winery, they simply bank those credits in their account. There's no commission for us doing all that work. They only pay the commission on the back end as they're taking that new revenue stream of barter credits and getting back their signage, their printing, their construction, their forklift truck, like whatever they want to pull from the system. That's the point that they're actually saving money. And so that's when we take our little piece. We have to help them win in a big way before we get kind of win in a small way. Other big companies, like we have PV Mart, for example, they're at a 15% commission because it's just a lot more complicated to run transactions across 110 locations across Canada. And so they pay a little bit more. But again, these are businesses that would have discounted that merchandise heavily. And so to pay us 15% on getting full retail value, they're still netting way more than had they sold it at 50, 60, 70% off. So the math works for them really well. Subscription fee small. Yes, it is. It's like the red paperclip. It's very true. In fact, if I ever share the story about, anybody know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
Yes.
Gary V. Okay, well, in 2017, after being turned down 200 times for a meeting directly, I actually reverse engineered a series of barter transactions that got me into Gary's office in New York, unannounced, front of the line, 15 minutes. He was shocked. And
Brilliant.
that's a story for another day, but it was a crazy experience and really put
That
us on
says
the
a
map.
lot about you.
Well, if you tell me you're interested in what I do, and then you tell me to DM you, and then you completely ignore me for a month,
right.
I'm gonna bang down some barriers and get around it and figure out how to make it work, right? So
Excellent.
that was fun.
Can a member limit transactions to a specific community?
Yeah, I mean, you as the seller can decide your marketplace or your sphere, your geographical location or whatever you want. So that's up to you as a seller to actually, limit how you want to do business. But typically, if there's any goods being shipped, the buyer in a transaction will pay the shipping. And as of right now, we don't have international or national shipping on barter credits or Barter It bits. So for now, it would have to be on the fiat system that you'd actually obtain that through, FedEx or UPS or whatever the case may be. Again, this is about being prepared, everybody getting used to transacting in a new way. And as we grow and build, while I'd love to have our own fulfillment program where we've got another company that's a freedom business that actually does all the shipping and fulfillment for the barter system across the country as well, right? So these are all things, right, that we're looking at.
Excellent. This is very exciting. I know all of our members are thrilled.
Well, thank you so much for having me here to talk and to introduce the idea and the concept. I know that the feedback that I've been getting has been tremendous, and again, we're just grateful and blessed and humbled really for the opportunity to serve the community and freedom-loving Canadians in this way. And hopefully, I really want to make sure that we launch from this springboard of freedom fighters. But at the same time, we know that that group of us is getting bigger and bigger, and there's this groundswell. Even people who decided to get vaccinated, they felt coerced, like whatever the case may be, they're coming around and they understand now, and they're starting to swing over. And obviously, those that are choosing to not get boosted, which is a big group now, they're now unvaccinated, right? So it's exciting to see. But we want to make sure that the dog wags the tail, so that if people join the Barter It community and they're sort of not freedom fighter mentality, that our group can sort of influence as they come in and bring them into that mindset, right? So then slowly but surely, through meetups, physical meetups, just transacting. These are going to be situations where it's like, yeah, I'm going to pick up my honey and pay in bits, and the person's going to be like, hey, will you stay for the barbecue for supper? And then leave it. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's going to be like that level of system. So that's hence the whole build your tribe. This is your tribe video, right?
Beautiful. Well, my intention here is to send out your information. We have a bi-weekly newsletter that goes out to everyone. And so I'll be asking them to click on the link, the Barter It link, and to sign up so that they can receive the information that they're connected to you as you move forward, especially within the next 6 months.
Absolutely. It's really appreciate that, Karen. And go to Barterit.ca, fill out that form, share it with anybody and everybody who's like-minded. The more people we get doing that, the easier it will be for us to, speed up this process and really sprint to the finish line, which really is just a starting line again. But you know what I'm trying to say, get it launched, right? Get it active. And so, really appreciate the support. And at the.barter.coach on Instagram, I'm sharing a lot of content there. And stories and different things that are happening within the Barter It community. And so I really appreciate you guys following me on Instagram as well and sharing that with people. And the more we rally together and unify as a community, the faster we can really get this thing built and off the ground.
Beautiful. You've got people already signed up already here. Awesome.
Yeah, I can imagine. I was just checking just to see, but it's, thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yes. Excellent presentation. That's what Sandra just shared. Thank you again, John, for being here. I know it's a late night where you are. And again, we'll definitely look forward to having you once your app is up and running. Maybe in 6 months, we can have you back.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. And I was buzzed coming to this meeting. Number one, it's exciting. Number two, I literally just stepped off the ice. I play Monday nights with my 2 older boys. We play on the same men's league hockey team, and that's a highlight of my week as well. But I was super buzzed to come here, and here I am. But I do get it. Yeah, it's 10:30. I'll be home by 11 and hopefully asleep by midnight. Yeah.
Thanks again, and thank you everyone for being here. I am so excited about the journey that we're on. We have a lot that we are going to be integrating as we move forward, stepping into the LifeForce Canada Private Membership Alliance, stepping forward into really empowering ourselves in what sovereignty means mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. It's an incredible journey we're all on, and I'm so glad that I'm on this journey with all of you. Together we rise, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Good night.
John. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks again, John.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
John.
Thank you all. Good night.
Karen, thanks, John.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Thank you.